KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson and the Adahi Itano program. Cars Plus, drive home in a brand new 2021 Hyundai Palisade equipped with Guam's only lifetime powertrain limited warranty. Call 477-7807 or visit carsplusguam.com. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it, and King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Now on Primetime, the Guam Visitors Bureau has some strong words about public health, the details coming up. And the RISE Act, whatever happened to $800 in local stimulus? The story next. And a 40-year-old man arrested and accused of sexually assaulting a blind teenage girl. Your news leader starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Adriana Cotero. The Guam Visitors Bureau is calling out public health officials, saying the current health and safety policy is one-dimensional and an impediment to the pace of recovery. In a board meeting today, GVB Vice President Jerry Perez said if they were a broader plan that also incorporates tourism, we might see a 30 to 60% increase in projected arrivals.
It's not just about medical health, it's also about economic health of the community. And so we need to balance visitor-sensitive issues with practical concerns and not be too single dimension and too narrow focused where we're really losing sight of other issues that we should be concerned. I don't know exactly what this policy is going to look like, but it's a conversation I think that we should have with the right people to come up with a risk proportionate policy that can be helpful in terms of providing positive impact in our efforts to recover.
Also, today's GVB meeting, Paris presented stats that show that Guam is underperforming compared to our peer travel destination groups. But his report also noted that citizens from our primary source markets are interested in traveling to Guam. 17% of Japanese showed a positive response, while 27% of Koreans indicated they plan to travel internationally within the coming year. Only 7 people are checked in at the government's isolation facility at the Bayview Hotel in Tumon. The facility is a place where anyone who is COVID positive can seek shelter. KUAM, however, received this video from one of the individuals who was checked in there, concerned about the cleanliness of the facility and bugs at the Bayview. But the bugs aren't the only thing public health is looking into. They're also looking at completely moving out of the Tumon Hotel.
We're looking at a different isolation facility, maybe even possibly looking at merging or using floors at Dusit. So that's an option that we've been discussing as well, because we haven't had a lot of positive cases. So the use of an entire hotel where we only have a few rooms that we're using just doesn't seem like a good use of our resources at this time. So that's still in discussion.
Gov Guam is using federal funds to pay $175 for every room per night that is occupied at the isolation facility and $90 for every unoccupied room. Public Health is stepping up its scrutiny for those applying for an exemption to quarantine under the critical service worker category. Public Health Chief Medical Officer Dr. Felix Cabrera adds that not only will there be more scrutiny, but surveillance of those who are granted the exception. The first change under discussion is changing the 5-day requirement for a negative PCR test to 72 hours prior to arrival.
Number 2 is also in terms of increasing the frequency and the checks on these persons when they have restriction of movement, meaning they're still in quarantine at home. They're only allowed to go to work and then come straight back. But then increase the compliance checks, not just at home, but even at their workplace as well. Show up there randomly, ensure that they're there, and ensure that their employer or sponsor is also participating in the responsibility of ensuring that they are that they are practicing all mitigation efforts and needs. So that's the other part there. And then a third component is doing surveillance on them overall in terms of testing them after they arrive at some point. And so these are the discussions right now.
Dr. Cabrera says they are still finalizing the changes. As for the variant, he says the results are still pending from 20 samples that were sent off island from testing, but has received confirmation from the CDC that they should be completed this week. Public Health continues its weekly free COVID rapid testing clinics. Today, they were set up at the Tees and Carnival grounds, offering up to 200 Binix Now tests, which produce results within 15 minutes. According to Public Health spokesperson Janela Guerrero, a total of 105 people were swabbed with the rapid test kits and 0 returned positive. We should point out, though, that if you have travel plans, you will not be tested at the community sites. Instead, Public Health will refer you to the Northern Regional Health Center in Guerrero to get a PCR test because it's typically required for most destinations. PCR tests are only available at the community testing sites if patients are symptomatic. Travelers looking to get tested can make an appointment by calling 635-7525 or 7526. Cheers to a grand reopening of bars as Public Health found no violations during inspections last night.
After being closed for almost 1 year, nothing went sour with Wednesday night's reopening of bars and taverns.
Our inspectors went out and they visited a couple bars, but did not observe any COVID-19 violations. So we're happy to report that. Everybody was in compliance. So no violations observed. Everybody was happy.
No footloose, no sing-alongs. Cheers, a good night, neat and not dirty.
They were waiting for this to happen. It's been a long time since bars have reopened. And I think, when you really want something to happen and you have a goal set in mind and you know that you have safety, sanitation in mind, and you just really want to protect people, we can achieve that goal.
Even the island's chief public health authority, Governor Lulian Guerrero, and Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio were celebrating with a re-election fundraiser cocktail reception Wednesday night.
I believe the guidance does contemplate fundraisers, but it's the same thing. I mean, as long as we're following the guidance, as long as there's the minimum requirements are being met, right? There's no difference in what we're doing in terms of a fundraiser, whether you're going to a bar for a fundraiser, going to a bar to mingle with your friends. So what the event is for, if it's for a birthday or an anniversary.
For $500 a pop, supporters were able to get 45 minutes worth of access to your 2022 candidates for governor and lieutenant governor, all in compliance with safety and social distancing protocols, setting an example for others to follow suit. So, the guidelines are established. So we're following sanitation requirements, signage, postage, hand sanitizing, mask wearing, then I think we're okay. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Sabrina Salas, Matanani.
The governor says that while we've made tremendous progress with protecting the health of our people, we must begin the long road to recovery, and that's why she's enhanced her team by hiring 3 new people. Paid a salary of $91,000, Bernadine Gines has been appointed as the new Deputy Director of the Department of Administration. She has 25 years of human resources management experience, both in the private and public sector. Previously working multiple terms at the legislature, Ricky Orsini is now the governor's policy director. Her salary is $75,000. And finally, Logan Regis has been hired at $65,000 as the governor's digital engagement manager. With 10 years of experience in the field, he's responsible for developing, implementing, and managing digital engagement strategies for social media. The governor says they each possess the skills, knowledge, and experience to help her administration continue their mission to rebuild a better Guam. It gave rise to hope, but apparently has fallen by the wayside. We're talking about a local stimulus payment passed in the 35th Guam legislature and allowed to lapse into law by the governor.
Show me the money.
But here we are in a couple of weeks. This is going to be 2 months old.
Minority Leader Senator James Moylan is talking about the RISE Act, which he voted in favor of during the last legislature. The legislation provides financial assistance to struggling families but excludes federal and local government employees. In December, the governor didn't sign the bill, but she did allow it to lapse into law.
And this would have given $800 to individuals who qualify and $1,600 for a family. And that was the amendment I co-sponsored.
The way the law was written, the $30 million to fund the RISE Act was prioritized to come from federal funds before local funds could be expended. It further gave the governor the transfer authority to make the payments. On December 29th, when she allowed the bill to lapse into law, the governor in a message to senators wrote, quote, "An authorization to transfer money from funds that are shortchanged already is tantamount to an empty promise." Last month on The Link, BBMR's Lester Carlson confirmed federal funds were tapped out, but was optimistic.
And I would really like to be able to believe that, if a second round of stimulus came in and we were able to take care of, what is public law, right? Then, we can prioritize that because we have policy to guide us.
There was no money then too, but she let it lapse into law. So you're anticipating money to come in, then dedicate that money. It's $30 million. Dedicate that money to this public law and start putting it on.
KUAM has requested a comment from Adelup, and like Senator Moylan, we're waiting for a response.
So tell us the plan, Governor.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Sabrina Salas, Matsunani.
We'll be back with more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
It makes myself and it makes my team members very proud to work for an organization that has been on island for many years with its focus on reliability, dependability, and commitment to the communities that they operate in.
Matson's a great corporate citizen to the community.
We all benefit from any sort of environmental commitment we make. One of the ways that we do that is with our Adahi Utano program. There's action behind it, and so action breeds commitment.
With the Kaimana Hila coming to Guam, this brings a new age and modernization to the island.
It's exciting for me because it's a brand new ship and we can carry more freight into the islands. It just shows growth for Guam and Micronesia.
Matson would be nothing without its customers, and we hope to continue to serve you for decades to come.
While we've all been through a lot over the years,
typhoons, earthquakes, and now COVID-19,
we've been able to get through these together.
For more than 80 years, Calvo's Insurance has been protecting your homes, your businesses,
and the health of your family.
We are here today and we'll be here tomorrow.
There are better days ahead. Tomorrow's a new day filled with hope and choices.
The possibilities of what we can achieve together are limitless.
Let's continue to work together to ensure a brighter tomorrow for all of us.
How do you dare? You chip away at what's been built because you can do better. How do you dare? You chase away wrongs to make room for what's right. You. How do you dare? You stand while they sit and scream when they are silent. You combine your strengths to reject their weakness. You step up, stand out, and shape a new point of view. How do you dare? This is How You Dare. Introducing the all-new Elantra.
KUAM News, winner of the 2020 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Social Media.
A man faces criminal sexual conduct charges for allegedly sexually assaulting a 16-year-old blind female with special needs known to him for nearly a decade. A magistrate complaint charges 40-year-old Ketrat Paku with attempted third-degree CSC as a second-degree felony with a special allegation of vulnerable victim and 3 counts of fourth-degree CSC as a misdemeanor. According to court documents, on December 22, 2020, the victim reported the abuse to a teacher, saying the last sexual assault occurred a couple days prior, but has been going on since she was 6 years old. Today, Child Protective Service workers accompanied the victim to the Guerrero Precinct Command. She told officers that PQ sexually assaulted her again on February 22nd. In court this afternoon, Magistrate Judge Jonathan KUAM set a cash bail at $10,000 and ordered the defendant have no contact with the victim. His next court hearing was scheduled for March 5th. Initially pulled over last year for speeding, 34-year-old Dwayne Edward Fajarin Mateo is facing multiple charges for also dealing meth. According to court documents, in May of last year, police pulled him over for speeding. In his car door, they saw a yellow case with multiple capped syringes. Mateo allegedly told police he used the syringes to give his chicken steroids for cockfighting. When police asked if he had any other items of concern, he told them he had a gun which he didn't have a license for inside the vehicle. Police recovered a Glock loaded with 6 rounds under his passenger seat. According to his past convictions, Mateo is prohibited from having a firearm. Then in August of 2020, Mateo allegedly sold 3.4 grams of meth to a police source of information for $604 at his Guerrero home. Another arrangement was made for the source to purchase more meth at Mateo's home on February 18th. But instead, Mateo told the source to meet him at a container home on Swamp Road. The source then allegedly bought 5.5 grams of meth from Mateo for $1,200. Mateo appeared in court today and is being held on a $10,000 cash bail. His next court hearing is scheduled for March 5th. In district court, a superseding indictment charges Jerry Thomas Guerrero II with production of child pornography, enticement of a minor, and a notice of forfeiture for several electronic devices. According to court documents, Guerrero allegedly enticed a 14-year-old minor to engage in sexually explicit conduct between October 1st, 2017 and April 30th, 2018. Guerrero made his initial appearance before Magistrate Judge Heather Kennedy for his arraignment hearing this afternoon. As stated in court, the defendant faces an additional charge related to the enticement count. According to the government, there are over 30,000 messages between the victim and the defendant brought into discovery. Guerrero pled not guilty to all the charges. The notice of forfeiture items include iPhones, iPads, laptops, portable drives, and a Mac computer. Due to the defense's request for review of the new charge in discovery, Guerrero's trial was extended by 3 months to August 3rd. The Legislators' Committee on Justice and Culture held a virtual public hearing on 3 bills related to criminal sexual conduct crimes. Bill 8, sponsored by Senator Tony Addo, would tighten the grip on convicted first or second-degree CSE offenders from sentencing reductions. The second and third measures are sponsored by Senator Jose Pito Terlaje and Senator Tina Muñoz Barnes. Bill 45 addresses the mandatory minimum sentences for repeated sexual offenders, and lastly, Bill 44, which prohibits plea deals for perpetrators without proof of sexual assault victim notification. The Office of the Attorney General was present at the public hearing and raised concerns with only one of the measures, that being Bill 44, relative to victim input of proposed plea offers of their perpetrators. Deputy Attorney General Stephanie Mingiola.
The concern is that we want to raise to your attention some of the potential, we assume unintended consequences of what the proposed measure would be by prohibiting a court from being able to accept a plea agreement. In every single case involving a plea agreement, the court and the government engage in a colloquy in which the court requires the government to confirm that the affected victim has been contacted, consulted, and advised as required by law. If a court is prohibited from accepting a plea agreement in cases where the victim is unreachable, despite the due diligence of the government will either be forced into trial with the weak case or more likely will be forced into dismissing the case.
Although lawmakers say they continue to hear from victims that they were not notified prior to a plea offer and the process needs improvement. Port General Manager Roy Respicio continues to stand by the rehiring settlement agreement he signed with Port Controller Jojo Guevara. In a board meeting today, a member, Dot Harris, asked Respicio for an update on the dispute over an OPA audit, which found that the port overpaid Guevara by some $114,000 in increments and interest following his reinstatement.
So in the case of employee Q, I think the biggest misunderstanding and the source of our disagreement is that you cannot restore this employee to a position that they were wrongfully terminated from at the salary 7 years prior. And so when this employee was reinstated, he was reinstated to the salary that was the salary he left 7 years prior. And the prior management and the prior council never wanted to do more than just as if though like 7 years didn't lapse, as if though it was only 1 day.
Respicio said while the former council said don't include increments, a subsequent council had the opposite opinion. Respicio had asked the AG for an opinion to resolve the dispute. Guam will go into fire weather watch later tonight, plus commemorating the 500th anniversary of Magellan Elcano circumnavigation. Those stories and more when primetime returns.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Mas.
First time I saw you, you blew my mind. I got this feeling everything was alright. I've never known someone like you, but when I'm with you, everything feels brand new. It's the brand new chicken dance song. Get down, heat it up like a sauna. Spin around one time if you want it.
New chicken dance? New chicken sandwich. My juicy, thickest filet yet. My cluck sandwich combos. Only at Jack in the Box.
We get it. Living to the fullest is tough during COVID-19. You don't need to do it alone, and everyone needs a hand right now. We are here. Feeling overwhelmed? Call 647-8833 and let's talk. Mangagihem is a project of Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center.
Guam is truly a majestic place with its sheer natural beauty, wealth of beaches, and culturally rich landscape. Unfortunately, Guam has a real problem with unwanted invasive species. Help us in preventing their introduction and spread. The coconut rhinoceros beetle, the little fire ant, the African snail, Siam weed. These are just a few of the numerous invasives on Guam. Follow proper custom procedures when bringing plants and animals into Guam.
Help protect Guam. Tell your family and friends about invasive species.
To report invasive species, call 475-PEST.
Welcome back. A red flag warning is in effect for Guam until 7 o'clock tonight. After that time, the National Weather Service will declare a fire weather watch to be in effect until 6 o'clock Friday morning. The NWS is warning that critical fire weather conditions are forecast to occur with winds expected at 15 to 20 miles per hour and gusts up to 30. Fires that develop will spread rapidly. Governor Leon Guerrero has been appointed to the National Governors Association Task Force on Economic Recovery and Revitalization. As a member, the governor plans to work with fellow governors to ensure state and territorial parity, work on initiatives to expand local industries and business development, and continue to push for policies that benefit the people of Guam. According to Adelup, this appointment reflects Guam's presence, inclusion, and participation on the national stage. The Economic Recovery and Revitalization Task Force will focus on issues related to energy, environment, infrastructure, land management, state stabilization, and taxes. Guam is getting a share of $2.7 billion in federal funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. According to a media release, Guerrero will be receiving at least $2.6 million to make capital investments in local public housing units. The funding is part of a federal program offering annual funding to all public housing authorities to build, renovate, and/or modernize public housing in the communities. The money can be used to complete large-scale improvements such as replacing roofs or making energy-efficient upgrades to heating systems or installing water conservation measures. With the mortgage relief program presenting hurdle after hurdle for struggling families, Guerrero Executive Director Ray Tapashna is hopeful that the federally funded rent relief program might be a little less stringent when it comes to eligibility. The problem? It's still not finalized, and Guam is not the only place feeling it.
I know there's a lot of frustration out there because the program has not been stood up, but I just want to let everybody know that it hasn't been stood up nationwide. We're still waiting for the final guidelines to come out from the U.S. Treasury Department. That hasn't happened.
While the federal government has yet to finalize the guidelines, Tapashna says GURA, GHC, and the governor's office have been meeting regularly with DOA to prepare for the rollout. To apply, you'll need an ID, your lease agreement, proof that your income has been affected by COVID, and proof of unpaid rent or utilities.
I will be asking the public to start getting those documents together so that when we officially launch, hopefully in the coming weeks or days, you'll be ready and you just submit your application and hopefully things will go pretty smooth.
As far as eligibility, you would have to qualify for unemployment or have a reduction in hours, demonstrate a risk of becoming homeless, such as an eviction notice, and your household income must be at 80% of the area median income. For those with questions, you can find more information on the U.S. Treasury website at home.treasury.gov. A virtual press conference was held today commemorating the 500th anniversary of the Magellan Elcano circumnavigation. Tomorrow, Guam will become the Juan Sebastian de Elcano Spanish Navy ship, whose current expedition follows the original Magellan Elcano circumnavigation of the globe. The Chamorro people are the first Pacific Islanders to come into contact with the Europeans, and according to Governor Lulian Guerrero, it's important we recognize all that has come as a result of Magellan's voyage to the Pacific.
As agents of our own political destiny. By hosting the Spanish delegation, this opens a very important potential opportunity for diplomatic partnerships. It also expands global partnership. It increases opportunity for culture, educational, and economic exchanges, even potential market for tourism.
The vessel will be making its way along Guam's northwestern coast around 5 o'clock Friday morning. The Juan Sebastian de Elcano will be hosted at Naval Base until March 2nd, and from there will continue its journey toward the Philippines. And with regional headlines, here's KSPN 2 News.
Hafa Guam, here are the headlines for CNMI. The Cagman Community Health Center has been selected to participate in a program called Ensuring Equity in COVID-19 Vaccine Distribution. Executive Director of KCHC, Vincent Costru, states this is a CDC initiative who works with their main grantor, Health Resources and Services Administration.
At minimum, they selected at least one community health center per jurisdiction or state. And of course, we're the only one in the CNMI, right? So.
The aim of the program isn't to just distribute the vaccine, but specifically provide more hands in assisting the elderly, those who cannot speak English, and low-income households. But before anything happens, KCHC must take a readiness assessment which will focus at the available resources and manpower. KCHC still has the option of whether they will participate in the program or not, but they are willing to partner up.
There's always this so many things that has to be put in place in order to do this. I mean, if you go through the CAC line, right, you not only the vaccination, but you also have to have emergency services nearby and things like that. So a lot of things that we have to consider before we do. We were mostly thinking, I don't know, we could partner maybe in Tinian, something like that. I think they're going every so many weeks, but maybe Tinian would be a target for us, because I think Saipan, we're doing a pretty good job.
The Cagman Community Health Center has 27 employees, with 2 facilities in Saipan and 1 in Tinian. Castro states discussions with CACC and the local government has already begun, and if participation and capability have been approved, they will be able to receive and administer the COVID-19 vaccines. Reporting for KSPN News, I'm Sally Lemis. For more news, visit saipantv.com. For KSPN 2 News, I'm Ashley McDowell.
Birthday shoutouts are next. Keep it here.
Try double filet sandwich for double the flavor. Just in time for Lent for a limited time. Served all day.
No waiting in line to see your doctor or to pick up your medication. From tips to living a healthier lifestyle, nutrition and fitness, to the latest wellness trends, stay healthy by checking in for your weekly dose of health news on Health Check every Tuesday on KUAM News Extra. Health Check is presented by Island Cancer Center.
Join us in saluting those making strides and serving in our armed forces every Tuesday on the KUAM News Instagram account. These weekly posts round up profiles of Guamanians receiving accolades in the armed forces, those stationed on Guam making a difference in our community, and veterans being recognized for their service. Presented by Future Smiles Orthodontics. Build a brighter future with a brighter smile. Join KUAM News every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. on TV8 and streaming live on the KUAM News Facebook page for In Full Zoom, a half-hour program zooming in on efforts to rebuild Guam's economy. Nestor Lecanto will interview a panel of guests from the business sector via Zoom to discuss their ideas and suggestions on how the island can rebound from the devastating blow from COVID-19. From struggles to strategies to get Guam back on the road to economic recovery. Check out In Full Zoom Wednesdays on KUAM Digital and KUAM TV8 at 6:30 p.m. In Full Zoom is presented to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. Check KUAM.com or our mobile news app for additional showtimes.
We are still in this together.
At KUAM, we're working harder than ever to bring you the very latest in coronavirus news.
We take our jobs as first informers seriously.
Asking the questions you want the answers to.
So thank you, Guam, for continuing to trust us to keep you informed.
Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep.
And before we close out the news tonight, our latest round of birthday shout-outs from the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club.
My friends, it is Thursday, February the 25th, and my coworkers in the back say I need to emphasize the birthday celebrants more so. Happy birthday to Odin Kinata Rosalind. Happy birthday to you. Happy 7th birthday to our little guy. We hope you enjoyed your day, son. We wish you countless blessings always. We love you. Say Daddy, Mommy, Jaren, Noah, Caden, and Isaiah. Happy birthday to Pressy Jr. May you share many more happy years with your family and friends from Josephine and Lynn. And happy birthday number 1 to Tatum J. Guzman. Love Dad, Mom, sisters, your brother, and the entire family. So to Odin, Pressy, and Tatum, we hope each and every one of you have the best birthday ever.
Remember, you can be part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club by registering online on KUAM.com. Please make sure to include with your photo your name and birthday. That's going to do it for us here on Prime Time. Thank you for watching. Have a good night and be safe.